I'm still Alvin. That's still Torrey. We are, what is this, Monday after 4th of July? So that puts us quarterfinal preview time, huh? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Some great tennis. Have you gotten over the match with Jerry?
Oh my God. You know, if you can't, when you got Jerry in one hand and Cameron on the other, you know, you're in a pretty decent place.
I'm still talking about Fonseca. I'm not talking about
that
Cameron match. That was a hot mess.
Yeah,
your fellow lefty. I'm more asking about when I was at your place on what was that, Friday?
Friday on 4th of July. One, thank you for coming. That was fun.
Thank you for having us. That was awesome.
It was a low key soiree, but it was a lot of fun to actually talk tennis and get into it. I mean, we talk tennis all the time,
sure,
but being able to do it while watching a match,
right,
having that back and forth, we had a little. I feel like we had an audience.
We
were doing a live podcast.
I hope we didn't bore them to death, or it was contentious though. Shout out to your boy Travis for making the conversation lively as always. I think Travis suffers from some delusional, I used to be this back in the day. And Travis may not realize how good he was back in the day, but he certainly wasn't a backhand virtuoso. And so I say it to say, I'm like, Travis, there were kids that literally feared your forehand, but your backhand, I had that shot though. I'm like, I'm not so sure you did.
The content around these parts, I like to say it's hot and fresh, hot and ready, just like the donuts. And
no doubt.
I just got off the court with Travis. I just got off the court with Travis, and backhand virtuoso. Still, he is not. But yeah, leave one sitting in the middle of the court though. He'll make you look bad.
For sure. Highlight reel for sure. He can shot once.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
there you go. And there you go. While we have the time, let's just go ahead and get into it. Because this content expires, so let's just talk about it.
True.
So match that just most recently finished today, Sinner versus Grigor.
What can you say that hasn't already been said?
Two things can be true at the same time.
That's true.
Grigor was amazing.
Yeah.
And then Grigor was Grigor. I left my house. Grigor is up 2-0. Somehow serving for the second set at 5-3, 5-4. Gets broken. Yeah, it's 5-4. Gets broken. Breaks back.
Yeah.
Somehow breaks back.
Yeah.
Serves for it again at 6-5.
Yeah. Pulls it out 7-5.
Pulls it out.
Yep.
I'm like, I text you. I was like, he's up 2-0, and still there ain't no way he's pulling this match out. I leave. I go to the court. I stretch, get warmed up. Look at my phone. 2-all. I'm like, 2-all? 2-all retired. You got to be kidding.
Yeah.
That's 5 in a row.
It was painful to watch.
What happened?
I felt bad for him. I had to go back and watch the replay just to see maybe if I could see a moment that he strained it or hit a certain shot. There was a couple of moments. He actually fell a few times, and I wonder if in one of those Matrix-like falls that he did, if he didn't strain it then.
What did he strain?
It looked like his right shoulder. It looked like a pec muscle on the right shoulder. I mean, dude, he had to lift his arm up to shake the ref, bro. I don't think.
Oh my God.
It was tough. It was tough. I mean, you can fall in weird ways. In the grass, you're going to slip and fall in the grass way more than any of the surface, just with the footing and getting back. Long story. It was tragic, to say the least. It was tragic for Grigor because he was playing so well. It was tragic for Yannick because he needs that level of match to push him and come back from a 5-setter. Tragic for the fans, tragic for all of us. There was no winners in this whole thing. You can kind of pencil in Yannick as the winner because he got through one, but that's not the way you want to win, especially going into a potential semi with Novak. You want to be tested. You want to know you can come through and have that confidence in yourself. And he even said it, and I thought it was very gracious the way he said it. He says, "Look, I don't consider this a win today, and this was just unfortunate. I'll have to get ready for the next match, but this was unfortunate, period." And that he didn't say anything more or less about it. And I was actually very impressed with how humble he was in the post on the court conference, because I thought he didn't want that ending. You could tell he was not looking for that, and he really wanted to play. And he knew that Grigor was playing pretty well. I have to tell you, if Grigor could have, now that's the operative word, could have continued that level of play, he was playing. It was going to be a very close third, and things being the way they had been, I'm calling, breaker / ish. Had he have gotten to a breaker, and I think he would have pulled it off today. Had he had not won the third, it was over. I mean, just in general, just
okay.
But I'm thinking all things being equal, the way he was playing up until that time, no other obviously injury and whatnot notwithstanding, he was playing that well. And let's be very fair, Yannick was not playing that well. I mentioned to you earlier, Yannick is not as special on the grass. It doesn't behoove him to. The surface doesn't reward him for what he does so well. Yannick will, let's say you and I are rallying, Alvin, in a 10-ball rally, okay? I'm Yannick's center. On a hard court, especially on the clay, I can end up taking a 1/10 of a second away from you per ground stroke.
Per shot, yeah.
Right? In 10 shots, that equals a whole second.
You're done.
As I get that next ball, and I go behind you, go in front of you, or volley, that now could be a half a second. But I've taken you out of your game, and I'm making the most sure approach, the most sure swing and volley or step up. I don't care how big your strokes are. I'm going to keep taking that time away from you, even if it's just how early I take it or just how unbalanced my shot back to you is. It seems as if the grass neutralizes his ability to move his feet and get back behind it. I don't know if it's a footing issue. I don't know if it's just the way the ball goes on the grass, how far deep you have to be in the court, something. Even his returns don't look as magical as they have been on other surfaces. And you would think the clay is about as slippery as they come. But the grass just does something to his game. And other players, if they can strike, he is more mortal on that surface than he is any other, or so it seems to me. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it's that's an interesting one, because he's almost like a boa constrictor, right? Every time, once he gets his grip around you, every time you exhale a little bit, he squeezes tighter, right? And then that it's the kind of death by in your example, death by 10 breaths, right?
Yep.
But on grass, he doesn't necessarily get that much time to have that impact on you, right? And I think he has fantastic footwork. He is a graceful mover, but he is not a fast twitch mover, right? He's taller than you'd give him credit for.
Sure.
He's probably like 6'4", right? So when it comes to being special, and a lanky 6'4", not like Pete. Well, Pete was probably like 6'3", 6'2".
Maybe not that tall. Maybe 1 or 2.
Right.
But yeah, to your point, rangy, lanky.
Yeah, that kind of octopus type of, I don't want to say octopus like Medvedev, but that a little more loose.
Right. But Pete did have long arms and crazy dexterity and range of motion.
It just takes a little longer to get that thing moving. Like, and I think the grass not necessarily exposes, but like you said, takes away from where he is special and kind of almost makes him slightly more mortal.
Yeah. A
compared
lot more
to the
mortal.
Rest of the players.
And if you can strike or serve, or both, right? Ideally do both.
Preferably both.
Right. Then you have the ability not only to hurt a guy, but you also have the ability to run a guy. And he is very comfortable on the run, except on grass. Because now on grass, and he slides better than most on grass, but you're still sliding on grass. And sliding on grass is very different than while it's sliding. It's not the same entity of sliding on clay where you will end up finishing somewhere. Somebody's going to create a grass court, clay court shoe that they're going to be able to slide on, some longer nubbies, something on that thing. And if that happens, you heard it right here, Yannick Sinner will win several on Wimbledon. He just moves so well. It's just weird to me that he doesn't move that well on the grass. And I'm literally seeing him like a fish out of water sometimes when he's sliding out wide. And it's now mind you, others do it quite well. Carlos seems to move quite well on it. I don't want to take the focus off this match.
Yeah, that guy could slide on the moon.
Right, he can slide on concrete, polished concrete. You know what I mean? at the club. I mean, the guy comes in like John Travolta. It's crazy his level of his sure-footedness. But I say that to say that's what exposed today. Grigor did a great job of serving out wide, and his inside-out forehand today was just on Alvin. He has a good forehand, pretty good inside-out, but he was moving the ball so well today.
And he served fantastic as well.
Served fantastic, which I also think probably juicing that serve a little bit. He probably had over, you can't say overdo it. It's easy to say in hindsight. Clearly was hitting the serve big enough. They said he was up in the 140s. I mean, that's pretty big for Grigor Dimitrov, and perhaps he was straining it a little bit, knowing he had to go for some extra. But unfortunately, we won't never know the end of this match. But it was some great tennis.
Speaking of big serves, so Yannick's got Ben next.
Yep.
Right. And this seems to be Ben is having like deja vu at every Grand Slam. It's like you get through Sonego at some point, and then you run into Sinner or Alcaraz at the next point.
Right.
And so they met in the semifinals of Australian Open? Was it semis or quarters? I think it might have been the quarters.
Had the quarters because he beat
who did he beat in the semis? Who did Sinner beat in the semis? Yeah, it doesn't matter. That was 2 slams ago. God, how does that?
Your boy played. He played. Your Zverev played him in the
final.
So he had
Djokovic played Zverev in the semi, and then who did Alcaraz play? Was it Ben? It might have been Ben. Oh well, someone will let us know. I'm not looking it up right now, but I mean, Ben's dropped 1 set this entire fortnight, right? Looking good, but I think you almost have to put. He's done what he's supposed to do, but none of it really matters until now. Like, this is a completely different scenario that he's working himself in.
If Ben is going to be a top 4 player, you're right. You know what I mean?
And so this is the litmus of the level.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like he would like to meet one of these guys in the semis, which he has before, or either he's going to be a 5 through 8 guy,
right,
or he's going to start to get into like that Taylor Fritz spot. Like, what are you gonna? And this is like he has to beat a Yannick Sinner or a Carlos Alcaraz to get into that conversation. And
be the man. You got to beat the man, Alvin.
It seems like every Grand Slam, this is what we're presented with. But okay, so I guess you would think this is his best chance.
Oh, right? 100%, and best surface.
That's what I mean. Like best surface to make an impact here. If we're looking at this, if we're having this conversation come Wednesday, and this match is over and Ben Shelton has won, what did Ben do well in that match?
I'm going to go back to an episode we had many, many weeks ago about what Ben needed to do this year.
Sure.
Improve the slice. Be more than a big serve wonder. Come forward. I remember saying that specifically. He has to come forward more, period, and present more of a pressure. Come over the backhand more on the pass, and just in general, not make the careless mistakes.
Yeah.
Ben has done every single one of those things en route so far. He's doing great. I personally didn't think he'd do that well on the clay this year, and he did way better than I expected on the clay. That, to me, is not his best surface, much like it isn't the best. Grass may not be the best suited for Yannick. But having said that, the greats always play well on all the surfaces, even if it's not as good as they normally play. It's still pretty darn good. I think if Ben would have won, he would have served 80%. I hate to say that number, but that's about where that's going to have to be, and it's going to have to be 90% on second serve points, right? Just because you're going to have to take first strike on Yannick and keep it, because if that first strike is ever neutralized, you're done. Second, he's going to have to come in a lot. Right. He's going to have to come in a lot. He's going to have to come in well at the right times and not give up some easy shots. He had some easy shots against Sonego today that I thought that he just kind of thought the pressure of the moment would kind of make Sonego miss, and Sonego had some great passes. Very crafty in his own right. We'll talk about him in a second. And the third thing is he's going to have to return well. He actually returned very well today, which I was very happy to see Ben. He fought for some tough returns. Made almost so aggressive on the return, kind of extended himself in the wings a little bit. But if he can stay upright, because he fell a few times as well, stay upright, make those returns, and make Yannick fight to finish him off. He is lefty, so you got that kind of working for him, and hit every backhand he can when he can go back through the court, making Yannick go back to his forehand, he's got a chance. It's a great matchup on grass. It's a great matchup in general if he can do those things. And he'll have to do it over and over and over again for 3 sets. If the match goes 4, if the match goes 5.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like a server can't serve 80% for 5 sets. It's just physically impossible, legs-wise being what it is. But is it possible in 3? It's possible in 3, Alvin.
I think it might be even more simple than that, because I don't feel like this is going to be a match that's going to look anything like any other matches they've played, right? Obviously, when they played it in the Australian Open, Ben was pretty taxed coming into that match and just could not hang on in that heat that deep in the tournament with the amount of mileage he had put on leading up to that. Coming in here, both players are fairly fresh. I don't think there's any lingering impact of Sinner feeling like, he's lost his last 2 sets, right? Coming into that match. I feel like it's, by the time we get there, that's done and dusted. They're ready to go.
Right.
I feel like this is just going to be a matter of like, can Ben get into tiebreakers and then return well enough? Like, I don't think he's not going to be picking off 6-3 or 6-4 sets. I just don't. Yeah, I just don't see that.
And yet Grigor, with not as big of a serve, did. That's, I guess.
Yeah, but Grigor's a much better returner. Like he's craftier. Like he keeps things in front of him. He broke Sinner 3 times.
3 times
in 2 sets. Like, do I see Ben Shelton breaking Grigor? I mean, breaking Yannick 3 times in 2 sets? Like, no, I don't.
Fair enough.
But
so it's more
on the other side
Dr. Evo. Dr. Evo.
Exactly. We're going to old school. It's old school. Just crank it up, let it rip, and then see what we get into in the breaker. Bless you.
Thank you.
But then again, like, I don't actually see any of that. I don't want to go out on a limb and say it's straightforward, but like the scenario I laid out, I feel like I could actually see that happen.
Sure.
Because he was able to do it against Carlos on clay.
Thank you.
And got himself there.
Yep. And lost in 4 in a close 4 at that. Mind you, different player. It's 50% chance.
Yeah, which is probably his best chance.
Which is pretty good considering, you know what I mean?
All things considered.
All things considered, he's pretty good. You know,
great chances.
If anybody else, I'd say 30.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep mobbing here. Next quarter, you've got Kabali against Joker.
That match there. Yeah.
That's. I mean, Novak had once he got straight today, he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Kabali, I don't know if people are paying attention to his game.
Yeah.
But his game is solid. It is well rounded.
Yep, very much so.
He is a 7.5 on a good day, and 8 at everything.
Right.
Yeah, and he's young. He's like 23 years old. Moves well. Seems very confident in himself.
Yep.
World class returns. That guy has a mean return, especially on the backhand side. Mean return. And what does that all equate to? I don't know. Probably loses like 3, 4, and 4 against Novak
to get this far. But to get this far, I mean, is an accomplishment in itself, which we have to appreciate for a guy like him, who's not reached this round or this far before.
Right, but like this is what you want to see, right? He's now seated at Grand Slams. He's 23 years old. He's getting into quarterfinals, like, taking care of an elder statesman like Cilic. Great match this morning. I was really impressed, especially in that 4th set, with Kabali being able to keep his nerve under the pressure that Cilic was putting on him, and came up with some big returns when he needed to on the back end of that breaker. So,
had a couple, didn't he? Had a couple breakers.
Just had that second, the one in the 4th set,
right,
where Kabali was able to kind of edge ahead there,
right
around the first changeover. But yeah, I don't know if that even matters. Like this is like one of those weird, not one of those. This is Wimbledon, and with it being grass, like almost everything that happens prior to this surface one, and then these top 3 opponents between Sinner, Djokovic, and Alcaraz, like it all seems to not matter.
Right.
It's like these are very, very specific challenges, and you just got to like see it, adjust to it.
Yeah. Right.
And then meet the challenge
and execute
on the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
which I don't
agree.
know that he has enough firepower to do that.
To do that, certainly not against Joker. quick sidebar, he did not look that great today. I mean, or I guess it was yesterday. It was today.
No, it was today. It was today. Yeah.
He did not look that great. Looked very mortal. Looked very human. Looked very. Unfortunately, Alex didn't look great himself. If this was his bad match, he will play great for the rest of the whole affair, and I'm worried about who he meets in the semis. That's an early premonition for Yannick should he get that far. He's not. If this was his bad match, it looked like it was. I mean, his serve percentage was terrible.
Yeah,
his returns, Alvin, he never misses returns. I mean, his returns weren't great. He was missing balls. He looked mortal is the only way of saying it. And while Yannick didn't look himself as pristine as he normally is, Novak looked at times awful. Not in a he looked very, very sloppy, which is something you never say about Novak.
Hold on, which is wild. Which is wild because he just beat the number 11 player in the world, after dropping a horrible first set, 4-4. Okay, and looked bad. I think, yeah, we'll take it.
Yep.
He also finaled this event on one leg last year.
Yep,
so,
that's right.
And then, the year before got to the final, and it took a Herculean effort out of Alcaraz to take him down in 5. So, like I said, everything leading up to here doesn't really seem to matter. It's all just kind of what's going to
when you're playing against that level. Sorry, go ahead.
Look, no, continue.
Especially when you're playing against a guy that's won this tournament 6-7 times. You know what I mean? So is it 7, 8? How many times he won this thing?
I can't count that high.
I think he's won at 7, and he's looking for his 8. Here's what I'm saying. I tell my players this all the time. A 10 will usually beat a 9, but he can lose to a 9. A 10 should lose to an 11, but he can beat an 11.
Mm-hmm.
But a 10 will always routine an 8. And a 10 should lose pretty much most of the time to a 12. Now apply that to a 16. This is the issue. And the scale doesn't go past 16. So we're now dealing with Novak on a bad day. It's still a 15. And I don't want to bring UTR in this too much because this is transcending UTR and tennis in general, Novak has. But I say it to say, I've got a player that's played this tournament for the better part of 18 years, and he's still a legitimate threat right now against a guy with no real weapons. No offense to Alex, he's a great player. The Aussie number 1, he's very accomplished for what he has maximized his package. Let's just say it that way. But when I'm playing against one of the better players in the history of the game, his weapons don't quite match up in a way to hurt said former champ. And his off day, which was, let's face it, that was today, showed you that he would take him out in, dispatch him in 4. And I'm just going to say it like this. He was probably lucky that it stayed that close because Novak was sloppy. And that's as kind as I can be.
And I'll say if Novak could do that against Alex de Minaur, then Kabali probably doesn't have much of a chance either.
Right. Especially
not to discount him, but
especially this being Novak's bad match.
Right. Exactly. He doesn't often play 2 bad ones in a row. Let's keep bouncing here.
Sure.
Fritz has Khachanov in the next round.
What happened to Jordan, man? I thought Jordan was going to throw an upset or 2 in the mix. Pretty old.
Jordan also came up lame. I was not watching that match. I was watching the women's match at the time, whoever was playing.
But he looked like he was lame the whole time, Alvin. I mean, look.
He came in. I think they were talking about it. Someone mentioned it. I think Tim Hemman said he saw him before the match, and he's like, "Yeah, Jordan doesn't look good." And then he comes out and he was not fit to play, but felt compelled to go out there anyway. So can't really draw much from that for Taylor. I mean, all things considered, Taylor got through the hard part of the beginning of the event for him with the big servers and the
and the 5 sets twice in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but not like taxing 5 sets, just kind of servers, tactical 5-setters, just kind of getting through it, and then put together a pretty decent performance against I think it was Davidovich Fokina the round prior. So I mean, you could say Taylor Fritz is the 4th best grass court player in the world. I
would feel confident
saying that.
I would too. I would too.
Karen Khachanov is like good for a quarterfinal every year. Like just kind of will pop up and quarter a slam.
And came up in that draw where a lot of the seeds, didn't quite make it out. So I'm with you on that.
So I think this will be an entertaining match. I'm gonna stop short of necessarily coming up with a prediction here, but I feel like they're very similar players, except for Taylor is like just a little bit better
at it, right?
Yeah,
and better on grass. I would say, of the two. I don't know how far Khachanov. To your point, a similar matchup. I have to give the nod to Fritz on this one. I got to ask you about your other lefty, Sir Cameron Norrie. That's one more that has my attention. What do you think?
Okay, so I'll take you back to what was the year? Probably 2022, U.S. Open 2022. I happened to be in New York for work, and it was the Friday before the event. So I stayed. I finished up work on Thursday. I was like, I'll stay an extra night. I'll go watch qualies. It's the last day of qualies. So I get out to Billie Jean, walking around, find myself on Louis Armstrong. At that point, it's wide open.
Sure, walk in.
You don't pay to go in. You just walk in, whatever.
Yep.
I am 5 rows back watching Cameron Norrie and Carlos Alcaraz hit for an hour.
No way.
And I was like, dude, this is amazing. This is the best. Like, it was the best.
Yeah, nice.
Because you never get that close.
Right.
In that kind of environment. It was fantastic. And Cam beat Carlos that year, earlier in the year, like somewhere down in South America, whatever. But that doesn't matter. I just wanted to tell you the story.
It's a great story.
It was fantastic. And then right after that was Nadal and Davidovich Fokina. So it was the best 2 hours of my tennis life. Just
that was worth the price of admission right there. I mean,
and the price of admission was $0. I spent $0 to watch.
That would have been worth the price of admission had it been a $1.50 or $2.50 grounds pass.
I'd rather that than a full house at Ash any day of the week.
Because you're right there, and you're seeing it raw and uncut. You know what I mean?
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. But okay, so in this particular matchup, Cam's playing some fantastic tennis, and Great Britain's had a great run in the last 9 days or so. Fantastic for the LTA.
Yeah, for the Brits.
Everything that Cam does well. Actually, let's not make this match about Cam. Jesus, Carlos played amazing yesterday.
Yeah.
Amazing. No. He looks unbothered.
Yeah.
Like, in general, everything you see of the off-court clips, the way he's carrying himself, like, you go back to French Open last year when he looked just like a stressed mess the whole time.
Yep.
Australian Open this year.
Yeah.
It's just looking a little out of sorts. Netflix special.
Well, to me, Wheels came off Indian Wells, in Miami. That's
as well.
To me when he really hit a weird, like, wow, what's going on? You could see him having a bad match here and there with some other really top players at a big slam. But to not just will his way through the others, especially in the Wells, I was like, whoa, dude, you need to take some time off. And sure enough, the clay court season, he did great, obviously.
Got right.
That phenomenal final of the French. Keep going, because I think you're building at something.
It doesn't seem to really matter right now. Like, Carlos is starting to he's starting to raise his floor. His ceiling is his ceiling, and we don't even really know where that is.
Right.
But when he gets in trouble, it's usually because he is not doing the simple things well in tennis matches, especially which it does not require his magic. He just needs to get through it.
Yep.
And even for him dropping sets, I don't think we should really be paying attention to that, because he drops sets, it doesn't really matter. He doesn't think it matters. I don't think it matters.
Right.
And after
Mama called him Clay, I'm gonna call him Clay.
Bingo. I left that one off the backboard for you right there. He the sets. I mean, even in the first set, he looked fine, but sets 2 through 4 against Rublev were just like, it was so much fun to watch.
God.
So much fun to watch. And he served, 23 aces?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
And returned several more from Rublev, and Rublev don't hit it. He don't hit it soft, Alvin. I mean, I think we all know Andre is. There's a little bit of Philippoussis blood running through Andre. You know what I mean? That he absolutely takes a crack at the ball. I mean, they might need to change the ball rules out for him and go instead of going 9 and 7, they need to go 7 and 5. I mean, that brother is cracking the ball, and Alcaraz seemed to hit it better off of the ball that big, and it was. I like you. I was shocked to see how well he handled it. I think Rublev was shocked that he handled his ball so easily. Like, who could you be hitting with that's bigger than me? You know what I mean? And it was like, dude, I got you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And kind of my last point is like everything that Cam does well.
Right.
Carlos is just not gonna let him do it.
Right.
Like Cam has this. Obviously, his forehand is handy. It's handy. It's handy.
Yeah.
But his backhand is the thing that gives people trouble, right? So you're taking a righty's forehand into a lefty's backhand. You're expecting that to be the pot of gold, but he just he leans in on that thing and slides it around the court. Like, Carlos isn't gonna let him lean into a damn thing.
Right.
I don't think Cam can hit that open stance.
No. I don't think Cam's hit open stance backhand in up. How old is Cam? In that many years?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I expect
he's the old school on that backhand step in shuffle. Jimmy's proud of Cam on that backhand. I mean, Jimmy's like, way to go, Cam, keeping it alive. Jimmy's gifting him an old T2000, from back in the day on that backhand. To your point, and looking how this whole thing is matching up, I think Carlos is playing about as good a tennis as we've seen. My only concern is he's playing a little too well, playing a little too sharp. I'm hoping that, but again, going against Norrie tomorrow, I think, or whenever it is, 2 days from now, well, I think he'll be okay. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm more interested. There's some good matches here, considering how many seeds have taken the L early in this match, or early in the first couple of rounds, and I'm really happy to see some semblance, right? When you still are left with one seed, the 2 seed, the 5 seed, the 6 seed going into this thing in each of the respective matches, that's still pretty respectable to see that the guy's still making through. And by the way, the 6th seed, the lowest of the high seeds being one Novak Djokovic.
Right. And I think that's kind of we've had a lot of conversation about the first 2 days were full of upsets and full of excitement, and most upsets at Wimbledon and Grand Slam, yada, 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 which is great for days 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
But what happens is you get into this kind of weird space now,
right?
Like in these last few days where we've had some really good matches, but we've also had some duds, right?
Yep.
Outside of the retirements that we've had, there've also been some matches that weren't all that competitive. So, but that does lead us up to the big boys and girls are going to be fresh, kind of, back into this thing. So I expect the last 4 days of this event to be quite exciting. Actually,
spot on, as the English would say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be it. Let's just bounce on over to the women's side.
Yep.
Top side, Sabalenka versus Sigmund.
Having the tournament of her life, huh?
Sigmund, yeah, just she's found the right matchups in which where the Sigmund of things is most effective. let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And on the other side, Sabalenka is playing some. I mean, it's becoming commonplace to say she's playing great tennis. The match against Mertens was extremely competitive. Elise Mertens. Someone had the quote: Elise Mertens is a perennial 15 through 20 kind of player, never better, never worse. It's all right. Just kind of doesn't have enough firepower to really get through and hurt the top players, but will always show up and get to play the top players.
Yep.
She's a pro.
Yeah,
she's just a pro.
100%. And the older I get, Alvin, the more I appreciate a player like that.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get lost into the, no player, right? Top 15, top 50, or top 100 had the ability to change said package. They came in. They simply could maximize the package that they were given.
Yeah.
And Elise was given that. Elise was done that. And I shout out to, I thought Towson did a phenomenal job with her tournament this week. Just, she's 6 feet. She's not the best mover. She hits a nice ball. It's a nice strike. She's what she is. She's never going to be nimble, but she at the same time, she's going to have power. And hey, she will do what she does. And I think that was it's a good tournament for her. I do want to give a shout out to my girl Amanda Anisimova, who came out on top the other day. I watched that match. She had a few moments where she looked a little bit tight, but ended up pulling it out. I was very happy to see her. I've been telling you about her, for a while. I know some of the viewers and listeners have been hearing me go wax poetic, as you like to say, about my girl Amanda.
As you should. Amanda's fantastic.
I'm a big fan of the girls that I saw when they were younger, and the same thing goes for JPEG and for Katie Volinets and several others that were playing the game back then when I was tournament director of the girls 12s. You love seeing these kids grow up and go on to be something pretty good in the game, and that's all I'll say about it. Obviously, Coco was one of them. So I say that to say, I just because I've seen them grow up, I've seen them continue to mature and get better, and to see her now I think did she get to the quarter or semi before Alvin one time in Wembley, a couple years back, but to see her back,
she might have quartered it. I think she semi to French at one point in time.
Right, to see her getting back this far is huge, not just for American tennis, but for her personally. And as you know, I was getting back from an injury and seeing her kind of come back to this level. That's big time. So I was, and Noskova was no slouch in that match. I mean, that was a hard fought match, as far as the matchup is concerned. So looking forward to seeing that match. Obviously tomorrow, and if you got to tell me what you thought about Navarro and your girl Mira.
Well, I want to, before we get there, let me go back to something you mentioned about some of this crop of players that you've seen in person at a younger age.
Yep.
You were the girls 12's hardcourt tournament director, right?
Correct.
National tournament
about
director.
7 years.
So, yeah. So. And then, obviously from age 11 or 10, 11, 12, and these girls mature into women and they're on the tour, 17, 18, 19. There's a big jump there. I want to give a plug to going to see high-level junior tennis. One of my favorite things to do, and if the schedule allows, is get down to Florida in November for Eddie Herr and or Orange Bowl. Pick one. I don't care which one you go to. Orange Bowl is more prestigious.
Yep.
Little uglier facility.
I say.
Eddie Herr
is the flip.
Eddie Herr is at IMG. It's fantastic. Man, it feels like and then it's just you get a little weirdness because it's the first of the two. So sometimes players traveling from international just aren't really adjusted quite yet. Imagine being 16, 17 years old coming over from Central Europe where it's not hot, and you come down to Florida. 6 hours time change. There are some weird things there, but I will say a lot of these players your Taylor Fritz's, your Francis Tiafoe's, your Amanda Anisimovas, your Alexander Zverev's. I saw all those guys play.
And they're younger.
At either Eddie Herr or Tommy Paul at Orange Bowl. All these guys play ahead of time, and it's that is your best chance to see the future.
100%.
And I wouldn't even, if you're going to go to the event, I'd go early. Go the first couple rounds because they're not, winning the tournament doesn't necessarily mean you're going to, be something at the next level, but you'll get to see them all. And
100%.
You get to see the different levels. And this is what you're looking at is this is your future of what you might be seeing in 3 years time on television. So
100%. That's a great point.
There's my plug for that. Go down to Florida in November. I guess it's technically December. It's after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's that week. It's that weekend. Eddie Herr,
and then Orange Bowl is right after that. Yeah. So Mira just she's a lot, man.
She looked pretty routine today.
She's a
she
lot.
Looked pretty routine today. And Emma's not playing bad tennis.
Right. I was a little surprised by. Well, this is the thing with Emma though. She's going to Emma. If she's not going to be able to go through you,
100%.
Right. And with that being the case, you look at Mira's kind of weakness, especially can be exacerbated on grass. You have to attack her hard and low to the forehand side. And Emma just can't do that. Actually, I don't think anyone on this side of the draw can do that. Right. So that bodes well for Mira kind of moving forward.
Not left-handed. She didn't have that kind of a ball. Her ball's kind of spinny. Backhand's clean. But again, Mira
Mira
doesn't have a bad backhand herself.
Right.
Mira has two backhands, and I want to speak this to you because we talk tactics sometimes. I think Emma has the classic, and I'm going to say this in a weird way, the classic American girl game. A little bit heavy forehand, drive backhand, nice serve. Not necessarily the drive off both, and not necessarily a huge serve, right? So she's in this weird space where you mentioned 7.5 earlier. She's 7.5 on a lot of things. She has good all-court game. She has great continental skills. She does, but not really an 8 on anything, in particular forehand and serve, or return for that matter. So hence why the score was 2 and 3 today, right? It's not like she did anything poorly. There's just some things she doesn't do. And I think that's one of the things you look at. Mira's got the ability to roll a backhand. She has this low heavy that can look like it's, from our angle, especially with the poor camera angle, like it's going out, but it dips down. And then she can rock an on the rise backhand through you. You're like, whoa. She's got a forehand that can drive and it can take you off the court. Her ability to hit
if she has time.
If she has time.
You can 100%. Rush her on that side.
You can. But she has both, and she can get you out of court, and she can, if you go line, she's mobile enough and nimble enough to be able to take the ball back open court. I just like what she does with a lot of shots. I don't necessarily, I'm looking at her matchup tomorrow. Who's she playing? She's playing
Belinda. She got Belinda on Wednesday.
Yeah. She's got Bencic on oof. And again, here's another player that doesn't quite have the firepower to perhaps stop Mira. It's just, if Mira can continue to stay the course, she may just find herself into the semi in this thing. And honestly, that'd be a heck of a matchup between her and Iga. But again, we'll get ahead of myself. But I think that's this is coming down to what you don't have. I was watching the match today and I was noticing Emma's serve. And for whatever reason, Emma's serve looks there's a little bit of hitch back in the back. Elbow drops a little bit. The arm comes out a little bit. It's a small coaching thing that I look at. Clearly, her serve is top 10 in the world worth. So there's nothing my eye and the other coaches that she has, a great team around her, are not seeing. But you were just watching Mira serve just be that much more biomechanically efficient. You're watching the matchups, and as far as the forehand and forehand, back and the backhand. I just said to myself, when you get to this point, who has the cleanest this or this? Who has the most efficient this or this? Because it's not going to break down. It's not going to be in trouble, especially off weird bounces, especially off of a drive, an unexpected shot. Who has better agility and nimbleness around the net, chasing down certain drop shots? Because Mira hit about 7 or 8, what you thought were going to be drop shots. They ended up being long slices, right? In that,
I love those. I love those so much.
Deep slice, the old fake drop, deep slice routine. And it really kind of threw Emma off her game because Emma's looking to counter off that backhand and maybe slap one open stance cross. And Mira's like, no, roll it into my backhand. Thank you very much.
If you can.
And that to me was a place she worked very well. It got to the point where I think she was doing it as a fake dropper to start. And then she's like, hey, hang on a second. I'm getting more off this ball. I'm going to keep slicing to it because you give me what I want. And forget the drop shot. I'll do it every once in a while. But really, I kind of like the ball you give me off that backhand because that was an unexpected bonus for me with that shot you have to hit. So anyway, I just was watching them tactical as players, and I saw this. In this case, we often say the score didn't reflect. The score reflected it today. It was 2 or 3.
And on the other side though, like Belinda got through a tough one today in which once they got into the second set, there were some. I'm gonna say Alexandra got down on herself a little bit in the beginning of that second set, which gave Belinda some time to get her neck out in front.
Right.
But towards the back end of that second set, especially when Belinda was serving for it at 5-3, I think it was 5-3, and she got broken. And Alexandra came up with some down match points, came up with some big shots, like she was going for it.
Right.
I was like, you know what? If she can hold this next game, we got some nasty coming up here.
Right.
And she wasn't able to, so it just doesn't really matter. But kind of looking forward in Belinda's match against Mira, I could see if things weren't going well.
Yeah.
Like Belinda has ability to make it a little ugly.
Right.
And if it gets a little ugly, like Mira can get a little pissy.
Right.
And if we get to that point, like if Belinda sees
Chris
that,
Miss will be able to
she'll scratch at it. Oh, she'll scratch at it. Yeah, because she's a vet. I mean, she's a vet. She sees what's going on the other side of the court, and she will, if she has the ability to not, if she has the opportunity to not make it about forehands and backhands,
right,
she'll start hitting that slice. She'll start
slice for sure,
knuckleballing balls. Yeah, she'll do some things. But then again, like it's almost very similar to the matchup Sabalenka versus Sigmund. Like
exactly,
if she doesn't have an opportunity to get into it, then
it won't matter.
It won't matter. It won't matter. Yeah. Okay. Kind of round in third here. Iga versus Ludmila Samsonova, who Ludmila has not dropped a set all tournament. I love watching her play tennis. I love watching her play tennis. It's so much fun. Just like she's like a slightly more athletic Barbara Krejcikova. All court game, smooth as silk. Can get a little squirrely on the forehand every once in a while. Yeah. Sometimes overcook some of the finesse shots a little bit, but I enjoy it. I enjoy watching her play. With that being said, Iga's floating out there.
Yeah, her serve hasn't looked better. She's hitting her shots, hitting her passing shots well. I'll be honest, Alvin. We were talking about her 4 months ago, and I was not ready to put dirt on the casket. But obviously, she was still playing some good ball, and I think the French has kind of rejuvenated what she's doing. I'm still not convinced that she has the goods to retake number one in the world. I'm so happy she's back. It's better for the tour. It's better for tennis. She's playing good ball. She's fun to watch. She's the counter-punisher's counter-puncher. She's the 2020s Martina Hingis, right? The 3.0 version, right? I just don't know if in this day and age, if it's enough. And I'm glad she's playing better, but we're in that next phase, that next iteration where is it enough for what it is now? We know it was enough 5 years ago. But if I can use Hingis as a reference point, but it was a perfect time when it was potent. Is it going to be potent now? Now she's on the end of that, the back end of that draw. Samsonov's going to be a tough test for her for sure. But I'm also looking at, let's look past this one. On grass. And she's lucky that 2 or 3 of the bigger ones are gone. Do you think she can win? And let me say this question differently. Do you favor her to win Wimbledon?
Yeah, this is interesting where we are with Iga. Mm-hmm. Because she did so much winning so early. Almost without any real competition.
Or resistance, I would say.
Yes. Yep. The Sabalenka that we know was not there, right? She has become, and you got to keep in mind that Sabalenka's a little bit older than Iga as well, 3 years older, which is like a lifetime in tennis, right?
Yep.
So like she is firmly in her prime.
Sure.
26. Yeah, she's firmly in her prime.
She's playing. She's in her best life, so to speak, living her best life.
Absolutely. So Iga, with where she is in her career right now, she's got 4 Grand Slams to her name. 5? Is it 4 Frenches and 1 U.S. Open, or 3 Frenches and 1 U.S. Open, like that? But now she's been forced to adjust her game, evolve her game, because the rest of the girls have caught up. The rest of the women have caught up, right? Sure. What she did then to win is not necessarily working now, because everyone, you're as Andy Roddick would say, you're fighting against your own shadow, right? The shadow that you have created. And the women coming up now have adjusted. Fantastic. Okay. But she is a champion. There's no reason to think that she won't also adjust. I think the adjustments you're seeing in real time, her run at the French Open, while she did not win the French Open, right, I think was very telltale in the way that she made adjustments within the match against Rybakina and the match against Arena.
Yep.
Here, I
Great
think
match,
those adjustments.
Still to me.
Yeah, it's still a fantastic match.
That match to me did not get the credit it deserved. Was that Sabalenka Swiatek match in the semi. One of the best pure ball striking matches I've seen.
It was so much fun to watch. It was so much fun to watch.
But keep going.
Yeah. So, but I think the things that, the very tactical things that her and Wim have been working on is not feeling like she has to redline that forehand all the time. It's not as feast or famine as it had been in the last, let's say, 12 months, like in between the French Open last year and the French Open this year. She's found harmony with that firm, that delicate balance between aggressive ball that is consistent versus all out smash the gas on the forehand. Sure. I think that has led to her finding that space here on grass where she doesn't feel like she has to channel a 1995 men's player where it's all crush and rush out here. She's found the ability to, and she said to herself, like she says, like she's finally feeling the ball. The ball is doing what she wants it to do. And I think that's because she is approaching it differently. Sure. Which is starting to turn out. It's starting to pay off right now. So
it's very well said.
Long way around. Funny thing, Aryna Sabalenka's never won a grass court event.
I saw that. Yeah. Never. Yeah. Saw that. I saw that the other day when it was mentioned.
Yeah.
I think that changes this year. But
do I think she can win this title? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I expect her to be in the final.
Yep.
And I like a little chaos. Not that I'm cheering for the story, but wouldn't it be funny if Iga's streak of French Opens gets broken only for her to turn around and win the Wimbledon?
Sure.
And now we got a slightly pissed off Aryna Sabalenka. Like, when the hell am I going to win a Grand Slam again? Like,
this year,
keep it to the finals.
Pissed off.
I would
chip
love
on the shoulder and going.
I would love that for her to go in the U.S. Open 0-3 in Grand Slam finals this year. Just pissed, mad, and just and now like I want more out of the end of the year. So let's take aside what I want. Focus on this particular.
As hard as that is,
right? I think a Sabalenka versus Anisimova semifinal would be so much fun. It'd be a fantastic match. They played it in Roland Garros. It was a great match. It was a great first set, anyways. I also think Andreeva versus Swiatek would be a lot of fun, but I think that's a really, really good matchup for Iga. Like a really good matchup for Iga.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't. You can't discount pedigree.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
Yeah,
and Iga did win junior Wimbledon, so don't sleep on her.
I definitely could see this being that matchup in the end. For your sake, and I know you're a closet, only person you don't openly cheer for as much as Madison is Mira, and I know you deep down hope Mira gets it. I don't know. No. You are a huge Mira fan.
I am a huge Mira fan, but I don't need anything from Mira at this stage of her career. She's got plenty of time. She's got plenty of time.
100%. But
I don't want anyone running away with. She's here, yeah, but I don't want anyone running away with.
Hey, somebody's got to win this thing. Might as well be here.
They will crown a champion on Saturday for sure.
I think this is Aryna's for the taking. I think she has continued to put her foot down in the women's tour. We're not going to say anything more about it. She's already done the work. I'm looking forward to how she handles the crazy Sigmund and Amanda, who hits the ball as big as she does and as tall as she is. And we're going to see pace versus pace. And we're going to see if Swiatek can handle a similar, pace player in Samsonova. That'll be a very good indication. And clearly, if I'm Sabalenka's team, I'm watching to see what Samsonova does and what takes, right, what sticks. And if I am Andreeva, I am watching all 4 matches for the future reference, right? I'm watching mine and the other 3 on tape, on speed dial. Like, hey, this is the type of player I'm going to need to be here routinely in a quarter/semi going forward on all these, because I got to match Sabalenka's power and first strike. I got to match Iga's return. I've got to match, I've got to match Bencic / Sigmund's craftiness, right? I've got to match, and I've got to have the clean strike of obviously my fellow young.
But for Mira though, like for her to get to the final here, she's going to have to go through 3 very different players, regardless of how this works out. You got some outside of, let's assume Sabalenka over Sigmund is the most straightforward of these.
I would agree with that.
The rest of them, it's like you got bangers up top. And then you got some craft down below, right? Yep. So she's going to have to get past a savvy
with the
adult.
exception of Samsonova, right?
Right. Well, even Samsonova, like that's
Samsonova has hands, but you can't say she doesn't bang it. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Fair.
She can clearly bring it. Is all I'm saying.
She can also put it in the back fence.
I like the point you're bringing. It would be a very different. That we talked about this in the draw episode. There was a lot of different bangers in one section, and there was a lot more of the all quarter, junk. Pardon the term, players in certain half, and it just so happened that a lot of them came through. So, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm saying something different. Is she, Mira, ready to go toe-to-toe on the grass with Sabalenka, with an Iga type of player? That's more what I'm asking in that sense.
I would...
And if not, add an addendum to that. And if not, why not? And give or take, how long do you think it'll take? That's more where I'm going with this overarching sidebar question.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave some space on that one. I wanna, if we end up with an Andreeva versus Swiatek semifinal, which would be on Thursday. Yep, because they'll tighten this thing up in a couple days. I'm going to pay close attention to both of these quarterfinal matches here, because that will give me a little, as I'm thinking about it through the lens of the two of them playing each other. Yeah. I mean, when you start getting up to this point, like we've had this in all these episodes, right? We're talking about a lot of different matches, and a lot of it doesn't matter until, like, especially looking at it through the lens of, like, how are we going to see this in the last few days of the tournament? Yep. But now it's very, like, okay, if I'm watching Andreeva versus Bencic, I'm thinking about it through the lens of how either one of them would make an adjustment against Swiatek or Samsonova, because it matters now.
Right.
Right. A lot less to get distracted by.
Right. A lot less to hypothesize and more to actually watch and be didactic with. And
right. And the grass court is strange, right? The surface itself keeps changing. Yeah. Right. There are parts of the court that are a little more sure-footed. You start getting out into that, especially on center court, far camera side, deuce side, alley out there, it's slick as the North Pole up there. I saw Novak take Alex out there a few different times. Like, I know you're gonna fall, you're gonna slip out there. Right. So like that's part of it. Yet also the players get more experience. Every match counts so much from a standpoint of experience on grass. So everyone's a little bit better as we go on in each round. They're a little better, more sure-footed on the surface. So I don't know if you can tell, I'm excited. I'm really excited about the bottom half of the women's draw right now.
No doubt. As you should be. It's a good tournament. So looking forward to it.
It's a good tournament. So far, so like we got past some weird stuff in the first, back into last week, but now we're in a good place. Good round of 16. I think the right players, for the sake of ESPN, got through.
Got through.
Yeah. We don't even come down the stretch here with heaven forbid we end up with Sigmund versus Pavlyuchenkova in the semifinals.
That would be a problem. That would be a problem.
That'd be a problem. That would be a problem. But hey, not my problem. So let's put a pin in it there. I don't expect that we will chat again until, I don't know. Let's see how this plays out. If we find the reason, we shall do this again.
If a few more upsets demand us chiming in, great. If not, I think it's it may be Saturday, and we'll see how this whole thing as you say, there will be a champion crowned on on the weekend. So we'll figure it out.
Quick question: what is if we end up with Iga versus Sabalenka on Saturday, or we end up with Carlos versus either Novak or Yannick on Sunday, are we watching either of those matches together? How do we make that happen?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
But if not both, and I feel like especially on the men's side, regardless of who it is, because that one could be. Both are going to be pretty pivotal for the rest of the year, and for one player could be pivotal for the rest of the career. You know what I mean? So I always feel like we're on borrowed time with Novak. I just feel
absolutely.
That way. You know what I mean? So you gotta. You're talking about the ending of an era. You know what I mean? So you have to give that respect where it's due, and it's certainly due in his case.
Okay, we'll leave it there then.
Yeah,
we'll leave it there. Cool. All right. There's the pin. I'm Alvin. That's Torrey. Best of 3. We are out.
Peace.